This lesson will concern the basics of basics. We will learn how to add and delete rows and columns, and we'll learn how to edit cells, exit cells, and use the undo and redo functions in Microsoft Excel. So basically, a very simple way to add rows. So for example, if you want to add a row in between maybe EBT and EBIT, and maybe we want to add some kind of account to the income statement, a simple way would be just simply using your mouse. You would press the right click button on your mouse, and you could always use insert to insert a new row. But as you've seen, it simply takes too much time, so we're going to tell you the shortcuts for it. So the key is to press shift space again. So shift space, as you recall, was selecting the entire row. So you would press shift space, and what would you do? What you should do is you should press the control key and the plus key simultaneously, and it creates a cell above the selected row. Again, control key and the plus key. If you're using your laptop computer, for some cases the plus key is, if you just press it without the shift key, it's simply going to spit out an equal key. So in that case, you would also have to press the shift keys together as well in order for this to function. So again, the shift space, control plus does the job. On the other hand, if you want to add columns, you would do exactly similarly. You would select the entire column and then press control plus, and that would add columns to your spreadsheet. On the other hand, if you want to delete rows and columns, what you would do is you would again select the entire rows, and this time it would be control minus. So control plus for adding, control minus for deleting. So control minus, minus. Same for the columns as well. Control space, control minus, minus does the job. So it's very simple. Just one thing to consider is that the rows and columns are created on the top of the selected rows and to your left of your selected columns. Also, if you want to delete multiple rows simultaneously, what would you do is that you would first select the 5 cells by using just your shift keys and your arrow keys, and then you would press shift space and select the entire 5 rows, and then if you press control minus, that's going to delete 5 rows all at once. Same for adding multiple rows at once. You would do the exact opposite. You would select 5 cells, you would press shift space, and control plus will do the trick. And so for now, let's delete all 5 columns, control minus. Let's delete all 3 columns, control space. So I'm using the shift keys to select these 3 cells, using the control space keys to select the entire columns, and control minus to delete. Our next part would be on how to edit cells. So let's say that we want to change the name income tax into corporate tax. Well, there are many ways that you can do, but we recommend that you use the F2 key, so the function 2 key, which allows you to go into the cell and change the contents inside. So what we would do is we would just select these letters and just change it to corporate tax. So very simple. When you enter the cells, you press the F2 keys, but when you exit the cells, you would press enter to save what you have changed, or if you don't want to change and if you simply want to exit, you would press the ESC key, the escape key on your left top keyboard. This is exactly the same when you're doing, when you want to change your names on the window files. So if you want to change the file names, the fastest way would be to press F2, and this instantly lets you change the file names. So instead of pressing the right arrow, the right mouse key, and clicking on rename, it's a much quicker name to rename your files, both in Windows and both in Microsoft Excel. And one more thing worth noting is that if you press the F2 key, and remember that when I press the Enter key, it moved to the next cell below. So after changing whatever you wanted to change, if you want to press the Enter, it goes to the bottom cell. But sometimes when you're doing financial modeling, you want to move to the right. And how you would do that is you would press the Tab key. The Tab key allows you to move to the right cell of your selected cell. So if you use the Enter key, it goes down. If you use the Tab key, it goes to the right. Of course, you can, just for simple cell selections, you can always use your arrow keys. But when you're changing something within the cells, the Enter key and the Tab key is slightly different in terms of usage, and you should remember what to press in relevant situations. Lastly is the Undo key and the Redo key. So most of you probably know this. So Control Z is for undo. So if you press Control Z, it's going to undo what we did. Control Z again is going to undo the name changes in income tax. On the other hand, if you press Control Y, it's going to be the function for redo. So Control Z for undoing, Control Y for redoing. And of course, this is going to be one of the most frequently used shortcuts, not only in Excel, but also in Microsoft Word or PowerPoint as well. And remember that it's not a function that you could use, infinite times. The undo keys and the redo keys, they do remember your functions up to maybe 20 to 30 times. But after that, it does erase the records. So keep that in mind. And also, after you've saved your spreadsheet, if you save your spreadsheet by pressing Control S, even if you use the undo function, it won't undo. So you have to be extremely careful when you're saving your spreadsheet or documents. You want to be absolutely sure that you want to save the files before pressing Control S, because some people just press Control S just any time, just for safety reasons, just to be sure. But the downside of it is that sometimes you cannot return to your previous tasks. So that is it for our second lesson of Excel shortcuts. We've learned the basics of basics. We learned how to add rows and columns, deleting rows and columns. We've learned how to edit cells, exit cells using the Enter keys and the Tab keys, and undoing and redoing our tasks using the Control Z and Control Y functions.